Do you want to find your edge to see how far you can actually push yourself, your true capabilities as a masculine man? Well, there's only one way to do this, and this is what I'm going to talk about in the next 5-10 minutes on this video. In modern day society, everything is much easier for us. Things are so convenient, they're quick to achieve. If we want food, you just drive down to McDonald's and go and get food. Whereas if you go back to past times, how hard it was to get food, we even go back to, maybe multiple thousands of years ago, where men were the hunters in society. They had to provide food and hunt for their tribe. And there were consequences back then for these men. If the hunt was a fail, then the consequence of them would be starving, being hungry overnight, and potentially their tribe dying off, not getting food. Nowadays, there is no consequence, or there's very little repercussions and consequences for failing in today's life, because everything is soft, so to speak. It's easy for someone to say to you, oh, it's okay, just try your best, and doing your best is good enough. The true answer to finding your edge, that's not true. You cannot just try your best and think you're going to be successful. Because most people are led down this false ideology that trying is just good enough, but it's not true. If you give yourself a legitimate consequence of failing and you have skin in the game, then you'll be much more likely to succeed, because you have no option but to succeed. If you're giving yourself strong, strict consequences, this is what's going to push you over the edge, and this is where you'll actually find your edge and your true capacity and capability as a man to see what you're actually truly capable of doing. Because most people throughout their lives, they'll never find their edge. They'll never find what they're capable of. They'll never fulfill their purpose and find, true freedom, happiness, and fulfillment. Because I shouldn't just say they're not just scared, but they have no repercussions for not finding their edge, for not finding their true capacity. There's no negative now for how society has been formed to not know your true capacity. Now, what we can do, there's many things that are also holding men back. If a man spends too much time with his woman, a lot of those feminine traits of the woman will rub off on the man, and the masculine traits of the man will rub off on the woman, which is going to inherently lead to a depolarization between the masculine and the feminine, between the two. That's what happens if they spend so much time together and they just like learning each other's habits and basically copying each other. And it almost becomes like a friendship rather than a true, polarized masculine-feminine relationship. This is when a man must seek solitude and spend time on his own, out, adventuring in the wilderness, doing what he must do as the one thing to do to start off with. A man has to spend time on his own, traveling, looking around, exploring, adventuring, getting into his own mind and thoughts and seeing what he truly wants without, the external factors of being with his woman or with friends or in a relationship all the time. He needs this solitude, spending days, hours, days, if not weeks, just in solitude for finding out what he truly wants. Now, the other thing that a man needs is a strong band of men that will keep him accountable. As they say, iron sharpens iron, and there's nothing quite like that. When we say there's no consequences no more for men, well, this is when other men can come in and they will form, a bond, a friendship, a brotherhood, and they will make consequences. So, example is if you're traveling, just say if you're going to climb Mount Everest, there's inherent consequences with that if you fail, and risks that involve with that. If you fail or you don't prepare right for the journey, you can potentially die on this trek. So that inherently carries its own consequences. That will make a man 10 times more successful, knowing that there is consequences and there's skin in the game and he could potentially die doing this. But that's how you must approach every situation that you want to be successful in your life. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to try my best. So when I say other men come into play here, this is when you have to have like a mastermind group, a brotherhood of men that will hold each other accountable. And just say if one guy says to his mate, I'm going to do this, or if I say to my friend in my mastermind group, if I say I'm going to start this business, I'm going to do this, and if I don't, I'm going to pay you $1,000. So now there's a consequence of me failing by not actually completing the tasks and not taking the action that I said I was going to do. If this all fails, now I have to pay $1,000 or $10,000 or whatever the figure is, or whatever you agree upon that's going to hold you accountable, and there is going to be consequences and repercussions for you failing. This will push you beyond what you thought you could actually do, because now you're going to push and push and actually find your edge and lean a little bit over that edge to see what your capacity is until you start to get a taste of true failure. And when you realize that failing is not as scary, not as bad, from then onwards, you will push everything to failure, and you'll even potentially want to go past failure. I'm just crossing a river here. It's going to be hard to talk. We're over. But as I was saying, by giving each other consequences and repercussions of failing, knowing that shit, if I don't perform, if I don't start this business, if I don't contact these people, if I don't talk to this girl, whatever your aspirations, goals, desires are, if you form and if you explain this to your close group of friends, of brothers, that this is what I want to do and this is going to be the consequences if I don't do this, watch how far you can push beyond your limits, and you'll set new limits and new boundaries then. Each time you get closer to that edge, you'll be able to push that little bit further, a little bit harder, and you know that you can do this. And this is what's going to bring successful, strong, masculine men back into society to see what they're truly capable of. Because inherently now in society, there are no extreme consequences of failure. If you fail a business, oh well, you go get a job. You fail a relationship, you go find another girl. You fail to make money, or you fail a hunt to get food, you just go down to McDonald's and you go and buy your food. That's how you find your edge and see what your capacity is as a true man. It's to not sit idle and just say, I'm going to try my best and that's good enough. That is no longer acceptable. If you want to be truly exceptional, you need to push past what you thought was your best, because you have a better best, so to speak. There's always improvement. And it's like when you're young, you're 18, you're 20, you think you know everything. And as you grow older, you realize the more you don't know. The more you know, the more you don't know. So that concept goes along with finding your capacity, finding your edge. The closer you get to your edge, you realize how much further you can actually go. This is why it's so important to not overindulge in relationships and spend all your time with your woman or your girlfriend or whatever, and seek time in solitude, and then also seek time gathering with like-minded men, forming a mastermind or a brotherhood, which is all hold each other accountable for, and watch your success 10x when you have that. A man who doesn't have that is going to lack so much drive, purpose, fulfillment, vitality, because he's going to always seek comfort. Those who seek discomfort and want to push past their limits are going to be the exceptional men in society, who are going to be the 1%ers, who are going to have all the money, who are going to have the cars, the houses, the girls. All this stuff comes to those who push past what they thought their limit was, and they become exceptional. That's the reality of it. If you are happy to stay the same, then disregard this video. Don't even stress about it. If you want to become truly exceptional, then start taking this advice. Don't be afraid to spend time alone. Seek solitude and find in your mind, digging deep, what you actually really want. I also do one-on-one private men's coaching, which helps people delve deep and find out exactly what they want and how to get it. So if this is something you're interested in, contact me, reach out through the comments, or you can reach me through my Instagram. It's just jake.recc, and we'll get in touch. I want to see more successful, strong, masculine men in society, bringing back what we can actually do, our full, true potential.